Galleous Cindars. For a lot of Songs of War fans, that name just screams untapped potential. He was the wise mentor, the master blacksmith, and the brother of a legend. But his story just stopped. It leaves you wondering, what if it didn't have to end like that? What if the real tragedy of Galleous wasn't his death, but the story we were told? What if his story was less about a tragic ending and more about a brotherly bond so broken it could have changed the entire war? Today, we're not just looking at Galleous, we're going to try and fix him. To really get what went wrong with Galleous, you have to look at the job he had in the story. Tucked away in a hidden forge, he's set up as this reclusive genius. He's your classic mentor archetype, a wise, older guy who gives our heroes, Sen and Igneous, the tools and a safe place to crash so they can keep going. He's helpful, he's incredibly skilled, and his bunker is literally a plot device to keep the good guys alive. But that's the core of the problem, isn't it? Galleous exists almost entirely for other people. His main purpose is to be a stepping stone for the heroes. He provides a safe house, forges some swords, and drops some wisdom. But all of his actions are reactions. He's a passive character in a world at war, defined more by his awesome forge than by any internal drive. He's less a player in the game and more a piece on the board, just waiting for someone else to move him. This passivity makes him feel more like a convenient tool than a real person, which is a huge waste for a character who could have been so much more. The biggest missed opportunity here is his relationship with his brother, the one and only Galleous Cindars. The series tells us they're estranged, their relationship shattered by two completely different ways of looking at the world. Galleous is a man of action, a warrior who believes the songs are the birthright of the Ardoni, a power meant to be used. Galleous, on the other hand, comes off as deeply skeptical of the songs, seeing them as a source of conflict and pain. This clash of ideas is fascinating. It's the classic soldier versus the scholar, the pragmatist versus the pacifist. Yet, the original story leaves this dynamic almost completely off screen. We see the aftermath, the cold silence between them, but we never get to see the fiery arguments that must have happened. We don't witness the key moments of their fallout. Their relationship is like a ghost haunting the plot. It's talked about, but you never really feel the weight of it. By not diving into this broken brotherhood, the story misses a massive chance to explore its own themes. The cost of war, the nature of power, and how strength can look different to different people. The silence between the Cindars brothers is just deafening, and it leaves Galleous feeling hollow. And then there's his death. Galleous is killed as revenge, part of a vendetta aimed not at him, but at Galleous. His death is tragic, yes, and it shows how the cycle of revenge is poisoning Ardonia. It proves that the consequences of Galleous' violent past have finally caught up to the one person he wanted to protect. But while his death serves a purpose for the world, it does a huge disservice for Galleous as a character. His end isn't his own, it's a direct consequence of his brother's choices, which basically makes him a pawn sacrificed in someone else's war. The death is sudden and strips him of any final say. He doesn't choose to sacrifice himself for a cause. He's just taken off the board. So, what we have is a passive mentor, a barely explored family dynamic, and a death that lacks any personal agency. That's the diagnosis. But before we start the rewrite and forge a new path for him, if you're enjoying this kind of breakdown and want to see more, definitely consider hitting the subscribe button and ringing the bell. It genuinely helps the channel out. Alright, let's get to work. Our rewrite doesn't need to tear down the original story, just build on its foundation. The big change happens the moment Sen and Igneous show up at his forge. The setup is the same, they need a safe spot to train. But this time, instead of just being a helpful host, Galleous becomes an active, if hesitant, part of their fight. And this is where his real internal conflict can kick in. In our version, Galleous isn't just a blacksmith, he's a master of theoretical combat. He understands the mechanics of songs better than almost anyone, even if he hates them. This is why he doesn't use them. We give him a clear philosophy. Galleous believes the Ardoni's dependence on songs is a poison, a shortcut that has led to nothing but war and suffering. He sees them as the root of his family's pain. His strength, he'd argue, comes from knowledge, from innovation, from mastering a craft, not magic. This creates a fantastic internal struggle. He's a man who despises violence, but he's surrounded by it. He looks at Sen, a kid with so much potential who has the same blind faith in the songs that his brother did, and it scares him. So Galleous agrees to train Sen, not just how to fight, but how to think. He challenges Sen's entire worldview, forcing him to ask what the consequences of his power really are. His forge is no longer just a place to make swords. It's a crucible for shaping a new kind of warrior, one who knows that real power is not letting your song control you. To really fix the Sandaris brothers, they need a face-to-face confrontation. But to do that, Galleous has to live past episode 6 of season 1. So be on the lookout for my upcoming video about this what-if scenario. We can imagine a tense, secret meeting. Maybe Galleous hears Sen is with his brother and tracks them down. The reunion isn't a happy one. It's a storm of old arguments and anger. Galleous would confront Galleous directly, accusing him of creating a world so violent that no one can be safe. Galleous would fire back, defending his actions as the brutal, necessary choices of a projector. "You sit here polishing steel in your bunker," Galleous might say, "while I'm out there using it to keep the monsters from your door." But this time, the argument doesn't just end in anger. It ends with a flicker of understanding. For the first time, they each see the burden the other carries. Galleous admits the horrible cost of his war, and Galleous admits that his ideals alone can't protect anyone. This doesn't magically heal their bond, but it patches it up enough for them to work together. Galleous, with his strategic mind, starts feeding Galleous intel and developing new gear, while Galleous uses it on the front lines. They finally start working in tandem, their opposing philosophies making them a far greater threat than they ever were apart. Now that Galleous is a key strategist for the Resistance, his forge isn't just a hideout, it's a high-value target. The Voltaris attack Ataraxia not for simple revenge, but to take out a tactical threat. The battle is overwhelming, and it's obvious the heroes are about to be captured or killed. This is where Galleous makes his choice. He's not a victim this time, he's a guardian. Seeing that Sen and the others are trapped, he makes his final move. He tells them to run while he rigs his forge, packed with volatile materials and unstable prototypes, to blow. His final moments aren't spent in fear, but with quiet determination. He manages to get one last message to Galleous, not of regret, but of purpose. "You were right, brother. Some things are worth fighting for, but we have to choose how we fight." His sacrifice is a deliberate, heroic act. He dies on his own terms, using his life's work, his craft, to save the next generation and deal a massive blow to the enemy. This death has meaning. It's the ultimate expression of his character. The man who hated violence uses his forge not to make one last weapon, but to end a battle. His legacy is no longer a footnote in his brother's story, but a turning point that inspires the heroes and proves that wisdom, not just songs, can change the future. By shifting Galleous from a background piece into an active player, we could give him the story he deserved all along. His arc becomes one of the deep internal conflicts. His relationship with Galleous becomes a core part of the story, and his death is transformed from a tragic footnote into a meaningful, heroic sacrifice. He becomes proof that strength has many forms, and that, even in a world of magic, the will of a single, determined craftsman can change everything. But that's my take. What do you think? Would this version of Galleous have been a more memorable character? Let me know how you would have handled the wise blacksmith of Ardonia in the comments below.